Alright guys, I am back again here with another video live from Archives Jacks. My name is Kam Mitchell. I am the owner of Archives Jacks. We are a vintage and sneaker boutique here in Jacksonville, Florida. I wanted to start making some videos. I'm going to start trying to put them out on a consistent basis. Our last video did really well. We really appreciate the love and the support that we've gotten pretty quickly here on YouTube. Our first couple videos were more vlog, behind the scenes, just giving you kind of an overview of what we've done so far with the store. Our last video was more informative, kind of giving you guys some information and tips. When it comes to opening a store, this is going to be kind of the same thing. So in this video, I want to focus on reselling as a whole. We're going to talk about brands that sell the best, aesthetics when it comes to a store or an online presence, and also the consistency and the work you need to put in to really see and reap the benefits of reselling. I have been reselling for about 3 to 4 years full time. I started on Depop and eBay. I think I have accumulated over $120,000 on these reselling platforms in a year and a half. So I think I feel pretty confident that I do have some good knowledge that really could help you guys and kind of get you past whatever your goal is, whatever your benchmark is of what you want to do in your reselling career, whether it's running a store or just making enough money, or even if it's a side hustle. I have some tips and tricks that I feel like would help everybody. So that's what I wanted to do here with this video today. Tip number 1 in the reselling world, I would definitely say, is finding your niche. Finding your niche, whether it is vintage, whether you're reselling mall brand names, whether you're reselling sneakers or you're reselling toys. Find a niche and stick with it. I personally sold vintage. I love vintage. That's the reason I got into it, is because I was a fashion head and I love the vintage aesthetic, and I saw that there was potential to be able to make some money selling vintage. So vintage was my niche. Obviously we have the sneakers now. They kind of go hand in hand, but I started with the vintage game. Now finding a niche is very important, especially when it comes to these reselling platforms. I mean, you have some people that push out like straight bangers, like $120 to $1,000 t-shirts. You have people that push just straight mids, like maybe $15 to $20 range, and they push more quantity. Me personally, I did a little bit of both. I was honestly just pushing whatever I thought was cool that I would actually wear. So I would push that type of stuff. But finding a niche is super important because it lets you know what to focus on. You get a lot of research within your niche. You know what to push out. You know what price points are for certain things, and you can kind of build your brand around your niche. You're not going to be able to build a brand around golf clubs, toys, sneakers, I don't know, pottery, anything. It's not going to specifically be a brand that you can build. I wanted to focus on really building an actual online clothing boutique, so I focused on the vintage niche. I'm not sitting here saying that you can't go ahead and push all different types of items online to sell. I'm just saying that if you want to build an actual brand or an actual store, you're gonna want to focus on maybe 1 or 2 things. That way your brand is known for those specific items. I mean, there's sellers that focus strictly on golf clubs. There's sellers that focus strictly on cameras and retro video games. So they are building a brand around that. It's easier to market. It's easier to push to socials. It's easier to push to friends. You can become a quick one-stop shop for certain needs. If you're big and broad with everything under the sun in your store, it's kind of combobulated. It's everywhere, you know. So I would say personally, from my experience, that you want to focus on one specific niche. Number 2 is educating yourself on the products that you are trying to sell. You should know the market value of every single piece that you are putting out. Yes, at first you're not gonna know everything, but thank God for eBay comps. Use eBay comps to your advantage. You can hop on eBay, You can look up a piece or a piece that is super similar to the one that you have and kind of get an idea of what that piece is going for. I still do that to this day here in my store. When I first started, my price gauge on everything was kind of all over the place, but I will say over time, the more consistently you are listing and selling things, the more education you get on what certain pieces, certain brands are going for online or in store as well. So there's a huge importance of knowing what your market value is, because you could be somebody that could get a specific brand at a certain price in which you're able to make, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks off of it, but you could also list it at $5 under the market value. So you're able to push it faster because you're the only person that's getting it at that price point. So always educate yourself on the brands and the products that you are pushing out, because it will help you in the long haul. The more you do it, the more knowledge you will gain. All right, number 3, I will call it finding your hotspot in a sense, is finding the brands that are moving consistently, finding the brands that you know are popular and you will not have any issue selling. So I will give you guys a quick list of brands that I was selling consistently and well online, and I will tell you what we're selling well here in store. That way you kind of have an idea. Some of the brands coincide with each other online and in store. One, I would say my number one seller across the board, no doubt in my mind, is Nike. I mean, it's a universal brand. Everyone has recognition with it. They know what it stands for. I mean, it's a worldwide brand, and it moves so fast online, especially if you have some of the vintage pieces. So Nike is number one. That's in store and online. So always, if you see some Nike, whether it's new or old, pick it up. Nike moves very well, very consistently. Number 2, Harley Davidson. Yes, Harley Davidson. Believe it or not, people love the Americana aspect of Harley Davidson and what it stands for from a Americana standpoint. Plus the graphics on the t-shirts are really cool and really dope. So a lot of people just want graphic tees with nice graphics. Harley definitely offers that on every single t-shirt they put out. I can get Harley tees. I mean, I'm sure if you're going to the thrift store consistently, you can get Harley tees for about $5 to $10. I consistently sell them for about $20 to $25. I've probably sold, I don't know, maybe 400 Harley tees since I've started doing this. So definitely Harley Davidson. All right, number 3 is Carhartt. I used to have a very strict rule that I would hold myself accountable to when it came to Carhartt. If I saw any type of Carhartt out in the wild, in the thrifts, in the rags, I would pick it up no matter what the size was, no matter what the piece was. The only time I would pass on it is if it was absolutely cooked and distressed. Other than that, I was picking it up because it moves so consistently. You have such a wide demographic of people that will buy Carhartt. You have your hype beasts that are wearing Carhartt. You have your skater kids that are wearing Carhartt. You have random 40-year-old construction workers that will buy Carhartt from you online. So Carhartt is a brand that speaks to so many demographics, and that little C on their clothing, I mean, it is worldwide known. So Carhartt is a great brand to pick up and resell. Next, obviously, Adidas. I mean, Adidas does very well. Some of the older stuff, the 3-stripe stuff, does very well. Sometimes you got to be careful with it. Some of the newer pieces you'll get stuck with, and you're sitting on them for a long time. So I would say more vintage Adidas than anything, like silver tag Adidas. Next, I would say North Face and Patagonia. From a reselling standpoint online, those brands do very well. They kind of like Carhartt, worldwide known. They speak to pretty much every demographic, and I mean they actually honestly make high quality pieces. So Patagonia and North Face, and then let's see, what could my last one be? I would say Jordan. You know, the Jordan brand, the older Jordan brand stuff does really well, and then any type of like sports related vintage t-shirts with old graphics and the old 90s colorways. Focus on that stuff too. I mean, every professional team has a fan base. So if you're pushing that stuff online, I guarantee you there's someone out there that is looking for it. So what I used to sell online on Depop and eBay is somewhat different from what I sell here in my actual physical store location. The demographic is a little bit different. So there were certain brands that didn't do as well, obviously here in Florida, as they would going all across the world or all across the country. Here in store, I mean, we move a lot of Nike, a lot of Carhartt. When it comes to like the Patagonia and North Face, not so much. It's Florida, it's hot as hell here. They're more known for like winter gear. We do move a lot of Harley Davidson. We move a lot of vintage Levi's. Believe it or not, we move a lot of Disney stuff as well. We are here in Florida. A lot of people growing up in Florida have that nostalgic tie to Disney, so Disney stuff does really well. The shoes, I mean, we sell, Dunks are our breadwinner. Dunks are by far our breadwinner. We're right next to the beach. We get kind of that skater surfer vibe, but also get the other side of the town as well, which has pretty much a wide variety of demographics as well. So Dunks with the shoes, the brands I just named, and then I would say obviously the Jacksonville Jaguar stuff. We are here located in Jacksonville. So if you do have a store and you're in a city, a college town, whatever, with any type of sports team, any type of sports memorabilia, will do very, very well within your town. I mean, we cannot keep Jacksonville Jaguar stuff on our racks, so I would highly, highly recommend that you keep that hometown heat, quote unquote, on your racks, because that stuff will move consistently no matter what team it is, no matter what college it is. Always, always, always try to supply your population with your team within your area. Now, we also focus on a lot of the college teams within the area. We don't have a big like college football team or college basketball team here in Jacksonville, but this is like a hot spot for college football. You got the Miami Hurricanes, you got the Florida State Seminoles, you got the Georgia Bulldogs, and you got the Florida Gators. If you're living in Jacksonville, Florida, I would say 9 times out of 10 you're a fan of one of those teams. So we always keep that stuff on deck as well. That stuff does really well. So play to your demographic, play to your area when it comes to sourcing inventory in your actual physical location, and then focus on brands that move consistently, like Carhartt, like a Nike, like a Harley Davidson, like a Levi's. Do market research to really understand what's moving on a consistent basis, and stick to your niche within your inventory. I'm not gonna sit here and sell, I don't know, Tommy Bahama in my vintage store. I'm not gonna sit here and sell Cole Haan. Like that's not my niche. That's not what I do. Now you could get away with that online and push it, but I didn't do that even when I sold online because that wasn't my niche. So I stuck to a niche and I grew my niche into an actual brand and a business. All right, if you are selling online on any type of reselling platform, Depop, Mercari, eBay, Poshmark, this is by far the most important part of this video for you. I used to get this question all of the time. I had a lot of people reach out to me on Instagram and on socials just to try to get some tips and some insight on how I was moving stuff so quickly on these platforms. The number one tip that I can give you across the board for any platform is to list product consistently. List product consistently. And when I say consistently, I mean every single day, multiple pieces a day. The reason you want to list consistently is because the algorithms on all of these reselling platforms reward the consistent listings. So, I mean, you may not have enough inventory to go ahead and list 10 to 15 items a day, but start out at 2. Build up some inventory to where you can post 2 items a day, or you can post 3 items a day. whatever, but just make sure you are listing every single day. And I guarantee you, at some point, that algorithm will pick that up and push traffic and product views to your store. You can mark my words. There was no secret sauce that I did. There was nothing crazy beyond that. That alone will get you sales. There are obviously some more tips and tricks that I could give you that help with that specific tip, but that alone will get you sales. I guarantee you. If not, you can come back on this video and comment that I'm the dumbest person that you know. So list consistently every single day. I think I got up to the point within my eBay career where I was listing around 25 to 30 items. I don't sell on eBay anymore just because I want to put my main focus onto the store, but I was listing about 25, 30 items a day. You do the math, that's 210 items a week, and you would get consistent views on that. I was probably selling about 14 items a day, 14 to 15 items a day, so my sell-through rate was really, really good because I listed so consistently. So list consistently, and I guarantee you will have sales. The next part, when it comes to reselling and having an online clothing store or whatever store, aesthetic plays a very good part. Do not take terrible pictures with terrible backgrounds and terrible lighting. I know you guys hate when you're online and you're shopping for something, especially on a reselling platform, and the lighting is like super yellow. The shirt looks like it's dark blue when it's actually turquoise. So focus on a good photo setup where you can take good quality pictures of your piece. Make sure the lighting is very good. I think you can go on Amazon and get a lighting kit for like $45. It is a good investment because it makes your products look professional. For me specifically on Depop, I basically treated my Depop like an Instagram. I'm very aware when it comes to aesthetic. I'm very into putting out good content. So the pictures I took were, first of all, super consistent. No picture was different than the other one. The piece would be different, but the background and the aesthetic was the same. I had 2 fake plants that I would set up on each side. I had a couple like pop culture pieces behind it, but most of it was clear white walls with a couple plants. So the aesthetic itself spoke volumes more than the actual piece, and it made it look more clean cut and professional in a sense. So that was the vibe I was going for. And like I said, the Depop is like a social media, so you want to push out the best content that you can. That's how you build a brand. You build a brand by aesthetic. So I was very self-aware of the aesthetic that I was putting alongside with the pieces that I was pushing out, and that actually goes a long way. I've had people tell me, I love the background, where'd you get the pictures? Did you get the plants from Amazon? So be focused on your aesthetic as well. You don't have to, but I promise you it goes a long way with brand recognition, and from a clean cut standpoint, you're probably going to get more traffic and more purchases from the fact that they feel like it's coming from a clean cut place and an actual professional business. So I focused on that as well. I would highly recommend you to do the same thing. One final tip that I would give when it comes to taking pictures is add measurements into your pictures. It's honestly a hassle, especially when you start pushing out so many listings and you don't have measurements in those pictures. You'll have 10 to 12 questions a day about the measurements of the garment. So make sure, just go ahead and get it out of the way. Take your measurements, get your measurements in your pictures. That way you don't have to go back and answer 10 to 12 questions. It's already there in your pictures or in your listing. Sourcing and finding inventory. The car does not run without a motor, without an engine. The inventory is your engine of your reselling platform. So make sure you have sources to be able to get inventory from. Make sure you're consistently sourcing for inventory. Luckily for me now, I have multiple sources, but those connections and those sources have built up over time. When I first started in this industry, I was just going to thrift stores. I was going to the Goodwill bins. I made a consistent schedule in which I would thrift to go find clothes for my business. The first half of my day, I would wake up at 7:30, get to the thrift store by 8 o'clock. I would be in the thrift store from 8 to about 1. After that, I'd come home. I would separate the clothes, what needs to be washed, what doesn't need to be washed. I would take my pictures and I would do my listings right then. That way I do not create a death pile, and I can get the consistent listings on a day-to-day basis. That was every single day. Yes, some days were worse than others, but some days were also better than others. So I had enough inventory to be able to consistently list at least 10 to 15 items. And then obviously that builds up over time where you're getting to the point where you're listing 25 to 30 items a day. But always, 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 always source for inventory on a consistent basis. There's so many ways to get inventory without having connections, without knowing people or anything. I mean, you can hop on eBay right now and probably find a wholesale lot that you can make some money off of. So sourcing inventory, that's the engine that makes the car go. Make sure you're doing that on a consistent basis, and make sure you're finding pieces that speak to your niche, or like I said, if you do the right research, will have a profit margin for you. Starting my reselling journey was always a dream of mine. I've always wanted to control my own narrative. It has opened so many doors for me. It has given me so much freedom. Before I did this, I was working in the corporate world. I had a corporate medical sales job. I was working a 9 to 5. I was making pretty good money. I would say I was making really good money, but I was not fulfilled in what I was doing. Reselling gave me a platform to be myself, to control my own schedule, and still be able to make money to supply a living for myself. Now, don't get me wrong, I will never encourage anyone to go and quit their job and pursue reselling. I had a very calculated business plan. I took the proper steps. It started as a side hustle. The side hustle turned into a full-time gig because I saw the potential in it, and I put the work in to kind of have a consistent income coming in from it. So don't just go quit your job and pursue reselling, but know that there is definitely potential in there to make a living off of reselling. You're gonna have to put in a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of gas, a lot of money. All goes in to making your reselling business successful. 3-year span, I've already been able to open a brick and mortar store, selling vintage, selling sneakers, reselling as a whole here in a physical location. So it's definitely possible. You could get discouraged at times. There's tough times. You have bad days, you have bad weeks, but if you are consistent in the work that you put in, if you believe in yourself, if you build your brand the right way, which I'm going to try to help you guys do, then skies is the limit. I will give you all the tips. I'll give you exactly the blueprint of what I did to get to this point, because I started out just like you guys. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I will continue to make these type of videos just because when I was coming up and I was trying to figure my way in the reselling industry, there were YouTube videos that really inspired me to get my feet off the ground and go out there and really work for what I wanted. So I will continue to do this, and if you guys could, it would be really appreciated to throw us a like, comment, subscribe if you're feeling generous. We are a brand new channel. We want to get this thing off the ground. We want to get this information out to the world. So the engagement and the support from you guys really, really means a lot. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you on the next one.